Hi soulmates, you're all welcome back to my channel. In today's tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how I achieved this stylish asymmetric neckline dress. It's a princess dart bustier, so I'm going to be showing you step by step how I achieved this. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and also turn on your post notification bell so you're updated when I upload the sewing part of this tutorial. I'm going to be drafting on this pattern paper. I went ahead to mark my start line at the top of my pattern paper there. I came down by ½ inch and I ruled a straight line. I'll be placing my tape right at that line, at the straight line, and I'll take my bust point. The bust point I'm working with is 12 inches. The under bust is 16 inches and the waist point is 19 inches. So I'm going to be adding 1 inch for our sewing allowance, which is already the full length of my pattern paper. I'll go on and mark the lines again and rule a straight line across my dots. I'll go on to mark out the shoulder measurement. I'm working with shoulder measurement of 17 inches. Divide by 2 is 8.5. I'm going to add ½ inch for sewing allowance, making it 9 inches. So I'm marking 9 inches there. Then I'll take my neckline. I'm working with neckline of 3 inches for the width, and the depth is also 3 inches. I'll go on and rule a line and create a curve around the neckline. Then I'll come to my shoulder measurement and come down by 1 inch. This is to create my shoulder slant. Then I'll take my armhole depth, which is 8.8 inches. Divide your bust measurement by 6 and add 1.5 to get your armhole depth. After ruling my line, I'm going to mark out the midpoint of this armhole, which is 4.4. I marked it there. At that point, I'll come out by ½ inch. I'll go in by ½ inch, and then I'll go on to take my bust measurement. The bust measurement I'm working with is 44 inches. I divided that by 4, and I marked it right there. And then I'm working with under bust measurement of 35 inches. I marked it right there, and the waist measurement is 42 inches. Divide it by 4 and mark what you have. Divide your round bust, round waist, round under bust, and then I'll go on and rule it. I'll just rule from the bust down to the waist. I'll go on now and connect my dots. I'll connect from the shoulder point to the ½ inch point I went in by, and then to the bust, to my round bust point, okay, to create my armhole curve. I'll go on and label my lines. I have the chest line there, I have my bust point, my under bust, and then the waist line. So next I'm going to be taking out my dart. I'm working with that measurement of 9 inches, so I'm going to divide that by 2, which is 4.5. I'm going to be adding ½ inch for sewing allowance, so at the end I'm marking out that of 5 inches. I'm marking it at the bust point, at the under bust point, and at the waist point. I'll go on and rule a straight line connecting these points together. Next, I'm going to be creating a dart line around the armhole. To do that, I'll go ahead to measure my armhole curve. Okay, I'll follow the curve this way and measure it to my bust, my round bust point. And what I got is 10 inches. I'm going to be dividing that 10 inches by 2, which is 5 inches, and I'll mark it at that point there. Then I'm going to create a curve connecting from that 5 inches point to my bust point. I'm going to be creating a dart at my under bust. To do that, I'll be going up by ½ inch at my under bust because I want to create a lift effect for the bust. I'm attaching wording to this bust, so I just want to create this lift effect that will give it a push-up look at the end of the day. So I went up by 1/2 inch at my under bust, and from that point I'm going to go in by 2.5 inches. And then I'm also going to mark that 2.5 inches at my waist point, and I'll rule a straight line. Then at my bust point, I'll just drop a bit by like 1/2 inch. Okay, this to create more room for the bust to sit properly. All right, so for this bust of 44 inches, I came in by 2.5. If you're working with bust measurement of 32 to like 36, you can use 1.5. From 36 to like 40, you can use 2 inches. And then from like this 44, I used 2.5, and it was perfect on my client. So now at the armhole, I went down by 1 inch, okay, and then I went up by 1/2 inch. Creating this dart at my armhole is going to eliminate any form of bulging that I'll be having around my armhole, and it's going to give it a perfect blend at that point. So I'm marking out the areas that I'll be cutting out. These areas won't be necessary. So now at the side of my armhole, I'm going to go out by 2 inches because of the dart we created there. If you, when sewing, you realize that you're going to be short of fabric at that point, so it's very important you extend it out. You can extend it out by 1.5 or 2 inches. So now the dart I took around the armhole there, which is 1.5 altogether, I'm going to be replacing it right there. Then I'll create my new armhole curve. You can see what we have. So it's better you extend it out and have excess at the end. After sewing, you cut it out, cut out your excess, than for you to have shortage. I'm going to be extending my shoulder line, and I'll create a sewing allowance for the shoulder. Okay, I'll go on and mark it out, and then I'll go over to my sides. I'll be replacing the darts that I took at the under bust and the waist, which is 2.5 inches. I'll go ahead and replace that at the sides, 2.5 inches, and then I'll rule my line. So next, I'll be taking my sewing allowance. I'll be using 2 inches. I'm adding 2 inches all round. Make sure you add enough sewing allowance. Like I earlier said, it's better you have excess and trim out at the end of the day than to have shortage. So add enough sewing allowance to your pattern or your fabric. I'll go on and cut out at this point. Watch carefully how I'm going about my cutting so you can follow along without messing it up or making a mistake. So now we have our center front ready. Then I'm cutting out the side front now. The parts, those parts that I marked, I created lines, they are not needed anymore. So here it is, we have our side front ready as well. So this is what we have, the side front and the center front. At the end, yours should also be looking like this. So next up, I'll go on to show us how to create the asymmetric neckline, the stylish curve at the neckline. So now I'm going to position my pattern papers this way. And then I'll be coming out by 2.5 inches. At the end, I want the band at that point to be 2 inches. Then from the nape of my neckline, I placed my tape and I came down by 6 inches. I'm going to be connecting the dot in a slanted manner. It's already slanted. Okay, you can see how it's looking. I placed my tape at the nape of the neckline to get the 6 inches. So then I'll take my curved ruler and I'm going to create my curve this way, connecting it into the armhole like this. All right, so I'll go on and blend in that sharp edge at that point. I'm going to be blending it in. All right, so it depends on how thick you want your band to be. You can want a band of 1.5 inches or 1 inch. It depends on what you want to achieve around the neckline. I'll go on and cut it out at this point, and we're going to see how it will be looking. So yeah, after cutting it out, this is what we have. I'll cut out this other one as well. And for the depth of this neckline, you can do 7 or 8, depending on how deep you want it to be. So let's go on and draft out our back pattern. I've already gone ahead to create my zipper allowance of 2 inches and also marked out my start line at the top. I'll come down by 12 inches for the bust point and 16 inches for the underbust, and then we have the full length of a pattern paper. I'll go on and roll a straight line across the point. Then next I'll take my shoulder measurement of 9 inches plus our sewing allowance. Remember, all our measurements is starting from the zipper line, okay? So neck width remains 3 inches, neck depth is 2 inches for the back. I'll rule the neckline, I'll really cover the neckline, and I'll come down by 1 inch at the shoulder point, and then I'll take my armhole depth, which is bust measurement divided by 6 inches plus 1.5. I'll rule my lines, creating my armhole depth. I'll go on and label chest line, bust point, under bust, and waist line. I'll take my round bust measurement and I'm going to mark it there, 44 divided by 4. Under bust measurement divide by 4 as well, and round waist divide by 4 as well, which is 42 divided by 4. I'm going to rule my line from the bust point down to the waist point. Then I'm going to create a curve, creating my armhole curve for the back. For the back, you don't need to come in by ½ inch like the front because the back is wider than the front. Then I'll mark the dart line, which is 5 inches. 4.5 plus ½ inch for sewing allowance, making it 5 inches. All right, I'll mark it from the bust point down to the waist point, and I'll go on and rule my straight line. So I'll be creating a princess dart for the back as well, just like I did for the front. You can choose to use your normal dart this way, just as it is the straight line we have, or you can create a princess dart like I'll be doing in this tutorial. Okay, so I'm going to come up at my armhole by 3.5. Remember, in front it was 5 inches, but for the back I'll be going up. You can use 4 or 3.5, and then from my bust point I came down by ½ inch. Now for the back, you're going to try as much not to create so much curve for the back. All right, I'm trying to avoid the back from bulging. Okay, so to eliminate this, you just go up higher than you did for the front princess dart, and then I also, at my bust point, I also step down a bit by ½ inch. After creating this, it gave me a perfect blend at the back without the stress of it bulging. I also extended my line out by 1.5 to create a new armhole. this back princess dart, we didn't go down by 1 inch and ½ inch to create a dart line because there's no bust at the back. We don't need that, but it's still advisable that you still extend your princess dart line, okay, to avoid shortage. Like I earlier said, it's better to have excess and you trim off than to have shortage. I'll go over to the waist part of my zip to eliminate zipper bulge. All right, so I went in by ½ inch. All right, and I'm going to rule a line just as you see me doing to create a new zipper line. And from that ½ inch I came in by, I'll create a new zipper line coming in by 2 inches all around, and I'm going to mark it, blending it into the upper part of the zipper allowance. So next I'll go on and I'm going to be replacing that ½ inch that I came in by. All right, so I'll be adding my sewing allowance as well of 2.5 inches all together, and I'll rule a line connecting the dots. So basically we are done with the drafting of the back. I'll add my shoulder allowance ½ inch at the top. And so guys, if you're yet to subscribe to my channel, please do subscribe, like, comment, turn on your post notification bell so you're updated and notified when I upload the sewing part of this tutorial. I'll be explaining in detail how I was able to place the lace at the princess bustier and also how I achieved the entire look. Thank you for staying with me to this point. Have a nice time. Bye.